Hey guys, it's Suzanne and Olivia, and today we're going to get a little bit more real. Suzanne's going to share with us an experience that she had where she had an epiphany where she realized that we as women need to protect our hearts. So do you want to just go ahead and start out with telling me the experience that you've had?
Yeah, so basically I've been through several breakups, some serious relationships.
Yeah.
It's tough. And there was one in particular that just was really, really difficult for me. And so you have some of those moments as a woman where you look into the mirror and you're like, I don't even know who you are anymore.
Suzanne's been through like 3 major breakups in her life, practically engaged 3 times. Like,
sure.
I honestly just admire you that you're still even dating, because I could not do it after that. Was this the first, second, or third?
This was the third, and I think at that point it all just kind of layered on top of each other. And so I went actually and saw a counselor, which I think is a really great option for everyone. I think if you just need to talk to someone, there's nothing wrong with finding someone that you really feel comfortable with and trust, and I found someone like that. And it was a very emotional process because he really, got to the heart of why these breakups were so hard on me, and different aspects of my life that they affected. And there was one night where he asked me to do some homework, and he was talking about how breakups are kind of the grieving process, which I'm sure we've all kind of heard before. You're in denial, you're angry, then you're sad, but what he wanted me to do is to kind of make a list of all the relationships that I had been in and how I had kind of gone through the grieving process for each relationship. And the reason why this was such an aha moment for me was because I didn't want to do that work. I didn't want to go home and do homework.
Yeah.
And it hit me that the guys that I had been in those relationships with, what were they doing? Probably watching sports or like going out with their friends. They weren't sitting and writing out homework on the grieving process.
I can't imagine, like, you'd also have to relive all those breakups going through, and that's something we don't want to go back in and dig out that.
I mean, it's helpful sometimes, but yeah,
I imagine that would have been hard for you.
It's emotional work to really look at those relationships again and figure out where it all went wrong. But so I had this moment where it hit me, and I felt like, okay, what is grieving? And grieving really is, loss, is mourning loss. And I thought to myself, well, how does loss occur? And loss really occurs when you've invested something, and then at the outcome of something, you lose something.
That's true.
And it really hit me, like, looking at guys and girls. Girls, we invest so much in the beginning. Before a guy's even asked on a date, we're worrying if he's gonna come up to us at a party, if we should text him, or we should say this, or we should say that. We spend hours sometimes getting ready just in case he's there, he sees us, we have to look perfect. Yeah. And that's so much energy, even in the beginning, where a guy's not even there yet. Until he actually takes us on a date, he's not investing anything.
That's so true.
And then when he does take us on a date, what is he investing? He's investing his time, maybe, his money, maybe his freedom a little bit if things get more serious and he's not dating other girls. But in terms of emotions, until you really get way down the road, he's just having a good time.
That's true. Guys do invest a lot less.
And that's just their nature too. I think as women we're more vulnerable, because I think that we want to open up and share that with someone, our emotions. And so it hit me that the best thing to do to protect our hearts is to not invest as much as we can in the beginning.
And how did you do that? Did you come up with this, or was this something your counselor taught you?
No, this was something that I came up with on my own, and I kind of just made like a balanced chart of, okay, meeting his family, or spending more than one night a week in the beginning with him, or putting on Facebook that I'm in a relationship, like all these things. So you kind of like limited
how much you invested in a guy.
Exactly, like knowing what your boundaries are and sticking to them so that you're not losing anything already. And I think that for me will keep me protected, so that going into it, I'm not investing as much, and I'm still, I'm getting to know him, I'm being myself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm taking certain precautions, so at the end of it, I don't feel this great sense of loss. And I feel like as women, they make fun of us, like, how do you picture a woman who's gone through a breakup? She's got her, paw in the ice cream, she's wearing her sweatpants, she's crying, she's watching movies.
Yeah.
What's a guy doing? he's probably at the bar with his friends. Guys walk away with a lot less loss in most
true.
relationships. So,
and so, like, when do you think when is it okay for a girl to fully invest? Would you say that's...
I think you have to that's a personal thing, but I think when you feel like the guy's invested, I think guys can invest emotionally. When they start sharing deep personal things about themselves, I think when they make sacrifices for you, I think that can kind of show you that, okay, that scale is a little bit more equal.
I see, so it's more about keeping the balance then, you think? So, like, you invest as you see the guy investing.
It's like a dance. Like, he invests a little bit, you invest a little bit, so that you don't feel off kilter.
And that's one thing I've noticed too in my relationships. I've noticed when it goes off balance, as far as one person liking the other more or seeming to like the other more, I feel like the relationship suffers.
It does, absolutely. And I think also sometimes in a relationship a guy can kind of pull back. I've been in dating situations where, you know, you go out, you have a great time, you go out more than once, but 3 times, and then all of a sudden he's not texting you as frequently, and you're like freaking out and wondering, what did I do? What's wrong with me? And I think when a guy pulls back, it doesn't mean it's over, but as a girl, you pull back too. Like, it's, you know, you pay attention.
And I feel like some girls actually do the opposite. They think the guy's pulling back, and they actually invest more, hoping to kind of reel that guy back in.
Exactly.
But I guess you're saying that's not what you want to do.
Right.
Okay.
And I think when you break up, that's like the most important moment of being completely honest with yourself and saying, okay, you know, he's not investing. He's investing 0 at this point.
Right.
Which isn't to say that he could come back and invest again. Maybe he needs some time to think things over, but he'll come back and say, okay, I thought something's over. I want to be in this relationship, and then you're back on that balance. But until he comes back, you're investing 0 too. Sometimes girls think they need to text a guy like, hey, just thinking about you, or when they see him at a party, like going up to him and like, again, worrying and analyzing and wondering if he's going to come back to them, but that's more investment. And so protect yourself, and when it's over, tell yourself, you know what, it's over. And if he comes back and is willing to invest again, great. But if not, I'm going to move on to protect my heart. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Suzanne. I really love that message, and I think, you know, us as women, we do need to protect our hearts, and I think going forward, that's really good advice for us to, you know, not invest so much and protect ourselves. And
I mean, we would love to hear your comments or your stories on, you know, if you feel like sometimes with guys, you feel like you invest too much, and maybe how you pull back in a healthy way, because we as women, we are worth the world.
Yeah.
And don't ever let a guy treat you like you're not.
And one thing I've realized meeting Suzanne is, you know, we've all been there. All of us have, you know, been through heartbreak. So
yeah, we're here for each other. Thanks for tuning in.